Welcome back to another video. We're doing JavaScript basics. That's what you can do with variables. I've already kind of laid it out here. We have the different variable types as comments. So undefined, null, Boolean, number, string, so on and so forth, arrays, objects, functions, all the fun stuff. And basically what you see here is what the whole video is about. The things you can do with let or what you can do with var as well. And then this first bit here, that's the funny thing with this. It's undefined, right? You can initialize a variable with let and var, but with const, you have to define it. And the funny thing is you can just define it as undefined. With null, you have that here. It's also falsy. If you're not familiar with truthy and falsy, it's I guess that'd be another video, but you can set both null with Booleans. Well, the funny thing is, basically I'm going to tell you can set it to true or false. But these statements here, let true equal true or false is a valid JavaScript argument. I don't know what to call it, but this chunk right here, really, I don't think you'd ever use that exact statement, but again, outside of the scope of this video, you can set variables and constants to numbers. You can set them to strings. And then more complicated things like arrays. That would be its own little video with arrays and objects. You can have objects with arrays. You can have arrays with objects in them. And then more complicated still, as you can probably tell, I wouldn't really ever assign a function to let or var, but you can. This here is called a fat arrow function. It's it was part of ES6. It was one of the updates a few years ago, like I think 2015. Fat arrow function, you can see the other example down here, which you might be more familiar with. We put keyword function. This one is not an anonymous function because we've named it here, but so yeah, basically going back to the let, defining a function to let, I wouldn't do that. I've always used const, but it works, so you can do that. And then we have const add two, then passing in the two arguments, the two bits of data you're going to talk about, or you're going to use pass through later, and you're just defining the function this way, right? And then to console log. Console log is its own ball of wax, but basically you have the two arguments in the console log separated by a comma. And this is super common if you are debugging, is just to say, hey, this console log, just defining what's spit out. Because otherwise, when you're passing in 1 and 2, it takes the place of A and B, right? So then you add the 2 here and it's returning. And the only way we can actually see it, like this code will run, but we won't see the result unless we console log it in this example. And this is a fat arrow function, and then the exact same thing with a slightly different name, technically, the traditional function. And then below, these are other things you can do. You can assign to variables, big int. That's basically just like a super huge number that I haven't come across in my JavaScript experience. That was an update last year, about 12 months ago, when, what do they call it? ES 2020, JavaScript 2020. It was the 2020's update last January. You can assign a symbol, map, set, week, map. I don't know what that is, and a week set, and then a date, which I think that's what this is referring to. You're just saying, hey, we're gonna, at the exact moment that this line of code is run, we're going to set that date to the variable time. And then here, we're just going to console log a few things. But yeah, so that's the long and the short of it, to keep things relatively simple. And then I'm going to run the code. And it says executed with no problems. Great. So add 2, scroll up. That's referring to this one, right? Because the add 2, the integer right there. So it's 3. It's because we passed in 1 and 2. And then the second add to printed out here. Let's see, what do we do? 3 and 4 equals 7. Great. And then at the very bottom, console log the time. And if this looks ridiculous, it is. I'm going to put a link in the description to moment.js, which is like just a godsend when it comes to working with time in JavaScript, because if this is default, you start wondering like how to work with that. So yeah, there'll be a link in the description for that. But yeah, this is a little video about other stuff you can do with variables in JavaScript. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, if you're still with us. And if you have any questions, leave a comment section below. And let's see, anything else? I don't think so. I think I'm good. All right, thanks for watching.